Hey y'all, how's it going? I'm trading the ES futures on a 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. So I've got the overnight highs up here and the overnight lows down here. These are our key levels for the day. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is this area right here. Now, this overnight low, it's not off the very low of the overnight. It's off of where it has the most bounces. So here, we have this low here, and then we react to it here, which usually I keep it on the bodies when I can, but it was just clearly reacting to this level right here. Sometimes you got to drag it to the wick. Now, before 8:30, we push lower here. This is at 8 o'clock as we push lower here, but then we push back up, reconfirm this level. So it has more bounces in this area here, even though technically before 8:30 it did bounce. It did push lower here and form a swing below that level. But anyway, so we have this two legs down here, and then after those two legs down, we attempt to reverse. So we get this first entry short, second entry short. Now this is an area that you'd want to look for a failed second entry because you have two legs down coming off the overnight low. That's a reversal area. So you want to look for a reversal pattern, which is a failed second entry. And so you see first entry short, second entry short, and you can expect to find a failure. And that's what you'd be wanting to take right here. But we don't get that. We just push on through, and there's no reason to enter that short right there because, once again, this is a reversal area, and so you want to find a failed second entry. You don't want to enter short after it rushes above the EMA like that. It could easily just bounce right off the EMA, form a failure, and play out the range rules, which the range rules are coming off one side, reaching the other side, if you can get a good setup. But instead, we just push on lower here, and so we get this first entry long, second entry long, pushing below the overnight level, the overnight low. And then we do close back above here, but on a big picture, it's really just one leg down after two attempts to reverse. So after we had the two legs down at the overnight low, we already have this first attempt, second attempt to reverse back higher here, and then we failed and rushed back below with one big picture leg down. Notice how we have these two clear legs there, but then this is really just one leg down, even though you can still see that there's a second entry in there. So it's just not an ideal trade. You want to see two clear legs holding off that overnight level there. So anyway, we push back up. This is where you can expect to find a possible, a swing reconfirming this overnight level here in the EMA and pushing back and holding above. But you don't get that. It looks like it's about to do that, but it ends up never ticking lower, and we just go sideways. Then we get a tick lower here, but at that point, we can see that we're in this range because we have a push up, push down, push back up. So you don't want to enter directly into that high because it's clear we're going sideways. We're going into a range. We have these EMAs flat, so we can assume that there's a range high there. And then it gets pretty choppy at that high. Once it reaches it, it breaks out. It does fade back in. This is where you'd want to look for a fade entry. You don't want to take this. It's in this uptrend right here. It does have an overshoot, and overshoots do lead to breaks, but it could hold. It could hold and then stop you out and just bounce right off that EMA, bounce off that high right there. So what I wanted to see was a push below and then a clear lower high entry. But this lower high is not a good signal bar. It's closing in the middle. It's pushing up. It's green in the middle. So it's not an ideal lower high. And then when you do get this red bar here, you'd be entering way too low. You'd be entering right into the overnight low and having it push. You need it to push way through, which you don't want to expect it to do. And so when it bounces right here, that's reconfirming this overnight low level here. And so here we get this first entry long, second entry long, failure. So it's a failed second entry right after two attempts to reverse. And so after the two legs down at the overnight low, then we have two big picture attempts to reverse and play out the range rules. The range rules being once you come off one side, you reach the other side. So we have two attempts to reach the other side, and then it just fails back below the EMA, forming this failed second entry reversal pattern. So, of course, a reversal from these attempts higher, so we're pushing down here. And so closing below the EMA, and then I did need to use a limit order because I didn't want to push it past this level too far because we did just bounce off of it again. But I didn't mind pushing it a little bit through because after two attempts to fade failing, even though we just bounced off that level there, this is a pretty big failed second entry with the bias, with the bearish imbalance, because there is a bearish imbalance at this point in this overall range right here, this overnight range with the highs and lows. When you get two attempts to reach the other side and it only gets halfway and then pushes back strongly down, that's a bearish imbalance. And so anyway, with that failed second entry, I like that there, just getting out not too far past the lows. Now we start going into this downtrend here, but at first it's more like this. You see this right here? Then we get this break, we push to a new low, but really it's just continuing a larger downtrend here. And so let me adjust those lows back again. So we're going into this downtrend here. There's really no way to get in on any of this stuff here. It just turns into another range right below this range right here, which makes it really choppy and unclear. And then we get these small corrections that don't quite reach the EMA, which you want to avoid those. And then here, notice this bigger picture measured move. You know, see these two legs here that forms one leg on a bigger picture, which it can be hard to see these kind of measured moves because you'll see this leg right here is really one leg, but you can see that there's two legs in this one right here, which it just takes time getting used to seeing them. But anyway, so we have that measured move in play. First leg down, break, second leg down. As soon as we reach that second leg, it gets very choppy, tries to reverse, and we start going into a range, which at first the range is like this. It's more like that. We have that breakout, we fade back in, and then we have this first leg down, break, second leg down. You can see those two-legged move right there, except you don't want to enter on a long, even though you got that two-legged move down there, because it's still into this downtrend right here. Even though you reach this measured move right here where you can expect an attempt to reverse, this downtrend is clearly holding still. We bounce right off that high right there, and we keep holding on the way down, and so there's no way to go long right here. It's just right into that downtrend. And then here you get this first entry short, second entry short failure, so you got a reversal pattern right here, but that's a pretty small, insignificant reversal pattern compared to this huge drop we just had. So I was not interested in taking that. We push up here, we react to that high right there, we break out quite a bit. I started to extend the highs to here actually because it just fit better there. We're going sideways, we have this uptrend, break, new high. So at these range highs here, the uptrend plays out with a break and a new high, and then we get this lower high setup right here. I wasn't interested in this lower high here or anything like that because it's just with that one move down, I want to see a break and get in on that second leg down because we have this first leg down here, break, second leg here, coming off these highs. So I like this lower high right here. It's with the bias. We attempted to reverse, but we ended up playing out this trend right here and just forming a lower high, clearly reacting off this resistance. It's holding many times, once there, many times right here, and then of course again right here with that lower high. And so at this point with these lows, I figured it fit best here because we have these two wicks right there, and then along with those bodies there, and then it just looked like the range needed to be extended. So even though it was fitting strongest here, and you could see that as one breakout, clearly with those wicks there, I didn't mind pushing the target down to here. So anyway, we push lower here, we get a couple legs down coming off those highs, we start forming this larger downtrend. You can see those three highs right there, those three touches on the high. And then we have this downtrend, break, new low. So the downtrend played out, so it's safer to look for longs to fade back into this trend. But when we get this reversal pattern, it can't even get above the EMA. It rejects the EMA there. It does push above there, but then it pushes right back below and closes back below, even closing back below the range low here. So I wanted to avoid that. Then when you get this big bar pushing back up here, you know, it's just entering high up in this range. It's right into this range high that's forming. It's not a very clear reversal pattern, especially given that we've been going downtrend all day. So anyway, I wanted to see a clear reversal pattern. It couldn't really get above the EMA very well, and then I didn't like how it just spiked up at the very end, looking like it's buying in the high of that channel. So we keep going up here. We can see those couple legs. It gets a bit choppy up here. We reach the high of this range again, which I need to talk about this larger downtrend. We have this larger downtrend in play. We can see those highs. We only have one bounce off the low though. And then it just breaks on through. It reacts a little bit to it, but it breaks on through. We reach the high of this range here. So overshoot this uptrend right here as well. And so overshoots lead to breaks. It does end up holding here. There's no reason to go short off that because there's just no clean setup there. By the time you get a bar closing on its low, it's, you know, right into the trend line here. So you don't want to enter on that. We push back up. We get this kind of doji looking bar. It's closing near the middle. You don't want to enter on that. It has STT as well if you draw it there. We push back below here. Now at this point it's clear we're starting to go into another range. So we're going into another range inside of this range right here. And so it just gets really choppy. You want to stay out of this. I don't see any clear entries. You don't want to enter right into that high with anything like that. It's really just a not very clear range. But after you do get this breakout right here, you can actually look to extend this. But yeah, it's just a mess right here. Stay out of that. We break out again. We break out of both of these ranges, and then we push lower right here. Notice how you can see this uptrend has a break and a new high. So uptrend, break, new high. At these highs right here, we have these two bounces right here, and we rush back below, and then we're closing out of that STT. So I do like this entry right here. I stopped trading around this area right here, and so I was unable to get in on this. But as we can see, if you have room down to these lows right here, which you do want to get out before these lows here, because I mean, it's a clear range. It's clearly resistance right there. You don't want to enter past it. You don't want to push your luck with the target to the next low right there, especially when you can already get one-to-one within it. So I was unable to enter on this trade. I just wasn't focusing. I wasn't at the computer at the time. But we push up here. We push back up. We have this first entry short, second entry short. You can see that small failed second entry. That doesn't matter to me. That's just one leg up. We have this higher low right here, so we push up. We have this breakout pullback, higher low. It's a doji bar. It's closing right in the middle. That's not a safe entry right there. But then we do have this push up here, but you know, we just formed this double top right here, breaking out, forming a double top, and at this point we just don't have any room to it, so I would just avoid that. We push up here, we get this big picture failed second entry. You can see first entry short, second entry short, failure. Now that's a pretty extended move, so I would just avoid that. I would want to see, you know, with failed second entries, I like to see a push above and then two clear legs back forming a failed second entry, not two big, huge spikes up and then a sharp push back down holding on the EMA. That's just not an ideal looking entry. It's funny because even this right here looks like a better reversal pattern, even though it's the context is not good for it, but just as the setup alone, it's just pushing above, getting above the EMA. This one is just huge spikes up right there. But anyway, it does hold though. I don't like it, but it does hold. We push up, we react to that overnight low again. As soon as we reach it, we pierce through it, but then we bounce off of it. So now this uptrend here that's forming has a break, pushing up to a new high. So uptrend, break, first attempt higher, and then at this point you're getting that second attempt higher, but you don't want to enter right into that overnight low, especially when it starts reacting to it again. So anyway, it does push up. It has a second leg. Notice how uptrend, break, and then two legs up to a new high. That's very typical. So I wouldn't be surprised if we reverse from here or start getting attempts to reverse, or when we push low. You know, I would look for a reversal pattern in this area. So anyway, so that's going to do it for this video. Hope it helped out in some way, and I'll see y'all next time.